All right. Well, I guess we have to surf on over to the other side of the street and check out AEW's offering of Dynamite for October 22nd. They were in San Antone, Brian, home of the world famous Alamo, home of, well, that's about it. The Alamo's down there. Shawn Michaels and Brian Danielson, I think, is from San Antonio, or at least he trained
Well, he
with
trained there.
He trained there with, so he has some connection to the town.
Have you ever been to the Alamo?
I've been to San Antonio. I've never been to the Alamo. I went one time, but they had closed it off for some type of cleaning because apparently some delirious rock and roll singer had pissed on it just moments before. We love you, Ozzy. I thought you being the music guy would say something like, "Oh, come on now."
I couldn't dismiss it because it's such a well-known story.
Well, nevertheless, so our announcing team was Sockface and Brian Danielson. They're losing in that. Taz is recovering from surgery, I guess. Get well soon, Taz. I don't know. Shivani may have had a senior moment, not been able to get out of the bathroom on the plane. We don't know where Jim Ross is. But Excalibur and Danielson sitting next to each other with the personalities and the approaches, it's like an 8-ball of Coke having a conversation with 2 tabs of ecstasy. It's just, what the fuck is going on?
Or Wednesday, as we call it.
Or it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. So they start the show again. They've just said, now, fuck it, we're not even going to bother getting into action like they used to start the show when they had competition with the match already started. Now they open up, the announcers talk, they do graphics and match billboards forever. They do a package on the pay-per-view. They go to the back for a videotape of Adam Page screaming that he's going to ruin Samoa Joe's life while he's being checked out by the doctor who clearly did not go to the Strasbourg school. Okay, Hangman, we need you to calm down. Hangman, calm down. And then we go into the opening match for the World 6-Man Tag Team title. Samoa Joe, Hobbs, and Shibata against Lashley, Shelton, and MVP, the Hurt Syndicate. Their top heel, their new top heel, who they desperately need, who's doing a tremendous job as always, is defending meaningless belts with a partner who Hobbs needs to be with Joe. And he makes a package there. And Shapoopy is useless, and they need to turn on him and send him to the forest or something.
Take his brain out.
There you go.
And then put it back in.
I don't think he needs it back. He's not using it. But so Joe is he's a 6-man champion. They need to forget that quickly. Concentrate on what they're doing with Joe and the title. Hobbs needs to be Joe's henchman. Shapoopy is extraneous. And they book Joe against the only guys on the roster that he can't bully and outmuscle to get heat and be a bully. Because Lashley's bigger than he is. Shelton is pretty good size on his own. And the point is, it's not that they can't work together and have a match. It's if you've just switched this guy heel, give him some goddamn cannon fodder to feed on. But all of a sudden, MVP is going for a wrestling title. Why? Because they manufactured some reason last week or on Collision or whatever. But in the overall scheme of things, MVP is a manager that if they'd have been smart when they were constructing this angle with Ricochet and his stooges, they could have got some money out of MVP against Ricochet in a single match on pay-per-view. Or even MVP doing something in a wrestling fashion could have been a destination rather than, okay, this week it's a tag match, then it's a 6-man, but the other guys once, this time we're going to win. It's been back and forth. And now again, they're going to have a okay match here. But no, Hobbs is in the ring with the only guy in the company that makes him look small, Bobby Lashley. And while Hobbs against Shelton was good, they had a nice pace, they were serious. Lashley against Joe was good. Old Shapoopy is just mechanical, bland face, no reaction, gets in the way. Why is MVP wrestling for a wrestling championship when he's part-time wrestler? Joe is a super heel. These are all my observations. And then finally, they got into things. They had tags to Lashley and Shapoopy, and Lashley just killed him. And then they got a little bit with Lashley and Hobbs, where Lashley tried the hurt lock, but they double clotheslined each other. Both went down. And then MVP got to shine there at the end with his baller elbow instead of the people's elbow or whatever. But they did some back and forth shit before MVP was about to do something, but Ricochet came out and distracted him, and Joe got the clutch, and MVP tapped. So it was a nice match until the cheap interference kind of thing, that boom, but they do that everywhere. It was a serious match. It was unusual in that there was no furniture, there's no goofiness. Most everything was in the ring. But again, people like the Hurt Syndicate as baby faces. They're losing as much as they win. And if they were setting up an angle to continue with these three, that might not be bad, but Joe is challenging Adam Page for the fucking championship, and that's the issue they've just created. So what sense did this make is what the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Well, for some of those reasons, I thought they were definitely going to do a title change here. It would make sense. Hurt Syndicate need a win. For all the people that complain that they weren't losing, they're losing too much. And it's hurting them. It's hurting the Hurts.
Well, but imagine, but if they won here, then Joe is on the losing side of, again.
You pinned Shibata. You pinned the man had his brain taken out of his head and returned to sender. You beat Shibata.
Address unknown.
You beat Shibata. You freed Joe and Hobbs. I mean, it's wishful thinking saying free him of Shibata, but they don't.
He's still on the losing side of the thing. Just have Joe and Hobbs beat the shit out of Shapoopy and don't ever talk about 6-man title again, because who gives a shit anyway? There's 100,000 belts. There's girls with 12 belts in the company. What do belts fucking mean? Then Joe got the microphone and cut a fucking heel promo that was, again, the best one on anybody's TV in the past few months. It was better and not as long as some of MJF's have been lately, because MJF's just stuck doing the same thing over and over because he has nothing to work with. And this is different. Joe comes off with an aura. And he said, Adam Page may think this is just some cowboy shit, but I'm going to make Adam Page my bitch, or Adam Pitch my beige. And you believe him. He's a fucking talent. He looks like he is supposed to look and talks like he's supposed to talk. But he's one of the 6-man champions. Anywho, speaking of people who look like they ought to look and talk like they ought to talk, I don't know if this is a compliment, though. Darby Allin. He came out in the spooky lighting with the AEW Mount Everest flag and spread it out in the ring and squatted down on it and started the promo on his knees. And he's willing to go places for this company no one else will go, and he's willing to die for this place. And these fans like that, right? They're like, yeah, he'll die for us. We won't die for him now. Don't hit us with shit. But he stood up and he got serious. And it wasn't a long promo, and it wasn't badly delivered. And he's, as long as the Death Riders are breathing, I'm not far behind them. He's got a charisma. If we hadn't figured out, and he hadn't actually explained to us that he really is a fucking moron, he's got a great gimmick. If it was a gimmick, if he,
that's the thing. You hear him say, like, I'm willing to die for this place, or I would die for, and you believe him. You're like, yeah, that's going to cause a scandal. that is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If this was a gimmick that he was able to present where he really wasn't just doing stupid and irresponsible shit all the time, and not only in wrestling, climbing mountains, jumping houses on lawnmowers, risking his life, just he's the dream of a certain segment of this population that watches the show, that he is just floated through life without being an adult and having any responsibility, but he's been successful. And that's like many of the audience, except the leaving out the successful part. So they like that. But if this was a gimmick he could portray, but behind the scenes, he was a competent professional that you could rely on not to do anything stupid, and was trying to extend his career while helping the business rather than just, oh, kill me, it's okay. He's got a great gimmick. It's just not a gimmick.
So you didn't like the promo?
Well, I like the promo, but that's the problem, is it that holds me back, is that it's not a gimmick with him, and he really likes doing all this stupid, crazy shit.
So you want to give him a push, but you got to be afraid of putting a belt on him, because then he'll jump off a building the next day.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. How can you depend on this fucking guy? I don't know. But anywho, apparently now, Brian, they are going to start the tournament for the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions, because there's not enough belts. The women's division roster doesn't have enough belts. Mercedes has 12 of them alone. Now they're going to have a women's tag team title, and they're going to have a tournament. But before they have the tournament, they had an 8-woman, 4-team, 4-way match with the stipulation that the winners could pick their first round opponents in the women's tag team title tournament. And that brings us to where we are here. Megan Brain and Penelope Pitstop against Julia Hart and Blue Sky, against Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, against Jamie Hayter and Queen Autumn. Did you just say it was a good match?
I said big match. Big match.
Big match. Is big good? Is good
offended.
Big?
You sounded so offended that I say it was a good match.
I thought I couldn't believe my ears. It's what I was
That's a big match.
Wondering about.
It felt like Glow. When everyone came out and the matching outfits and their little gimmicks, it just felt like Glow. It felt like Glow. I don't mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a good way either.
Well, yeah, indie wrestlers with a wardrobe budget is what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Penelope Ford, I thought she hurt herself when they did that spot in the match where at the same time Megan Bain does a dive over the ropes and Penelope Ford does a moonsault off the top rope to the floor and all the girls. And she landed on her arm and she came up right away holding her arm. But no, I guess she was all right.
Well, if she was all right, she did better than this match, which took up about 15 minutes of TV time before the Dark Horse team, the one that nobody thought, Jamie Hayter and Queenie, won the thing. And they were called the Dark Horse team early in the match. That's how I knew they were going to win it. But while this match may have been meaningless in the overall scheme of things, Brian, apparently, from what I'm hearing, from what I'm being led to believe, it's driven another of these endless small wedges in between a long-time relationship that we thought was going to last for life, but with all these constant little chips, little pieces that are being tapped out of this relationship. Dave and Brian, Uncle Dave and cousin Brian Alvarez, again have another disagreement over whether shit makes sense or not. And of all things, it's in this match. Is this correct? I've heard this from several sources.
Well, we've been emailed this by a bunch of people, and this match, of course, was a 4-way tag where the winning team could pick their opponents in the tournament, begging the question, oh my God, how many teams are there going to be in the tournament?
I was going to say, they were fighting all the teams were right here. They just have to stand across the ring and point.
This is half the teams, apparently, from the tournament. But well, listeners have sent over because they always get a kick out of your thoughts on these, and I have not heard this all the way through. Dave and Brian apparently had a conversation about, it's so ridiculous, the bracketing of the women's tournament, and how, I guess it was rolled out, or explained.
Or exposed.
Let's go to this audio right now.
At this point, they had not announced the brackets for the tournament. In storyline, they didn't even have brackets yet because we were still getting teams throughout the show getting put together. So I don't know what brackets Tony had that he'd...
Let me stop it there because he has, in the video, there's an image from Dynamite that shows tonight there'll be the bracket reveal. But how could you reveal the bracket if one of the matches is for...
In the first round, yeah.
Let's go back to this.
Which then would also... that would affect every other match because who knows who the team is going to be that wins and the team's going to pick.
Yeah, you could pick anyone. So it would affect the entire tournament, one would think.
Weekend and storyline.
Well, he had him. He said they were going to announce the brackets, and they did.
Dave, you don't understand. He said Saturday he had the brackets, but on this show, teams were still getting put together.
No, he said
so
Saturday,
when this show started, he didn't have brackets.
He said Saturday he was going to announce the brackets.
I know, but he didn't have them when the show started. Because throughout the show, teams were being put together.
He announced them before the end of the show. He just said he would announce the brackets on the show.
So in storyline, he was hoping the teams would get together during the show.
and by the end of the show, he had brackets just as he advertised. That's a silly criticism.
No, Dave, this is not a silly criticism.
Yes,
they were putting teams together.
Let me stop it for a second.
Yeah, they had all this backstage falderall with people. Will you be my partner? It's so yes, they were still actually making agreements to have teams in this particular show when Tony had said days beforehand, yeah, I'll have the brackets.
It's a silly criticism. Let's go back to the silly criticism.
Silly but valid.
As the show went on. This is something Ava would do. I'm going to have brackets on Tuesday. Hopefully some teams get together during the show so I can put them in.
He said that they would have brackets on the show.
Yeah, that means as a promoter, he's already got his brackets done. He's just going to announce them.
He never said that. He never said that. He said he would have the brackets announced on the show. If he had the brackets, why didn't he announce them on Sunday or on Saturday?
Because he's a promoter. He wants people to watch Dynamite.
Okay, well then
tune into Dynamite. I'm going to give you these brackets I've made.
And he did.
Instead, he had a blank bracket, apparently. And luckily...
He did during the show, the storyline was that he had a match put together where the winners of the match, which is this match that we're talking about, would get to pick their first round opponent, and then he would fill in the brackets after that.
And he just with no thought whatsoever. Okay, well, here's the rest of these teams. I'll write them down real quick. Here you go.
It's a weird hill to die on. It's a weird argument to fight against.
Yes, there are other things going on that would be more important, one would think.
That was announced. I don't know what day they announced that, but I think it was yesterday. So obviously he wasn't going to have the brackets at the beginning of the show because they were having a match to determine one of the first round matches then. So he couldn't have the brackets done.
So who was going to be in this tournament if Athena hadn't shown up out of the blue?
He could have
hour and 45 minutes into the show to tell Mercedes, I want to be your partner.
He could have had who knows what. That doesn't matter. He had when he announced the brackets, they were a team.
Well, there it is. Once again, the endless defense of Tony Khan's booking and TV layouts from Dave.
You can't, he wouldn't give a crippled crab a crutch, as Buddy Landell would say. You can't get anything out of Dave if it's critical to anything that Tony did, except if it's something Tony did after Dave told him not to do it. Then he's critical.
Is there anything to that, to Alvarez's argument? I mean, he didn't even really make the argument, but if you're billing on your Saturday show, we will reveal the brackets Thursday. Should you expect them? Is it a problem if you don't deliver the brackets right away? If there are still things to determine? Like you said, it's not even just to determine one match. It would have to determine the entirety of the brackets because you could pick anyone.
Well, yes. And see, that's... You can do one of these things, but not all of them. You could advertise, okay, the match we're going to have on TV Wednesday night is going to be the winner gets to pick their opponents in the first round. And then once we find that out, we will assemble all the brackets or assemble all the teams in the rest of the bracket, whatever. That would work. Or you can say, on Saturday's TV, I have the brackets and we will announce them on Wednesday. But they want to do every goddamn thing at the last minute with almost no build or warning, advance notice that anything's going to go on. And that's why apparently they added that match with Mercedes Moon on the pay-per-view where she won that interim women's TV title belt that's defended on Thursdays in the Target parking lot, whatever the fuck that was.
TV championship.
They realized that she was going to go to another one of these outlaw companies the next day and win their title, and they didn't want her to break the record unless it was on their show. So they came up with a girls' title for her to win on their show in an unadvertised match to break the record, and then went the next day and won some other one. Point is, it's all goddamn nonsense. And they're tripping over everything because they just keep doing everything so fast and at the last minute. And Alvarez sounds like he's just fed up with it. Just plan your shit better and give it a little room to breathe.
Well, that was the women's tag. The winner of the match, of course, Jamie Hayter, Queen Aminata. And they picked Sky Blue and Julia Hart for the first round. I'm sure we'll get some surprises. Maybe a team from Iceland or South Africa. Who knows? But this is your show.
Do they have women's wrestling on the Isle of Man?
I don't know.
And why don't they have an Isle of Woman? Since they have an Isle of Man. You know what they all need, don't you, Brian?
No.
A brand new line of work.
Ah, yes.
Just get them completely out of the whole picture of what they're in now and put them in something they'll be more suited for. Now, let's say, for example, that Mercedes Moan, after she's won these 12 belts or whatever, she wants to settle down and sell seashells by the seashore. All she's got to do is call our friends at Shopify, and Shopify will give you the best shot at success that you're ever going to have in your little pea-picking life, because Shopify has got you from the get-go. They're going to help you with the website design. They're going to help you with the product images. They're going to help you with the descriptions, the discount codes. They're going to help you with social media campaigns, email, and it's all about ching-chong, making money.
It's ka-ching. It's ka-ching, not ching-chong.
Ching-chong.
Ka-ching.
Having that little kid on a bicycle run up to you every day with a bunch of money in their hand and handing it to you. That's right, because folks, and Harpo Marx will be right behind them. Because folks, nobody has bicycle delivery people anymore like Shopify does. They will put your brand, product, or service out there in front of millions of people. They're the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States. They're going to make you ready for a global audience. And then when people start paying, That's what they do. They send out one of these little kids on a bicycle with that little bell.
No, they don't.
And they go pick up your money and they bring it right to you. So all day long, I mean, every 2 minutes, there's going to be some kid driving a bicycle up your driveway going ka-ching and throwing you 76 cents.
Once again, ladies
and you're going to get rich that way.
You're not going to get rich. You're not going to get rich that way, and that is not what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Shopify is reliable and trustworthy. We trust them with our online business. You can trust them with yours, and that's what we're really trying to say, Jim.
Yes, and the purple shop pay button. Everybody knows what that means. As a matter of fact, what they're going to do is once you go to shopify.com/JCE, and you sign up for your $1 a month trial period where they can show you the incredible difference that they can make in your business and in your whole life. You get that $1 a month trial period, shopify.com/JCE. They're going to put that purple shop pay button right on your front door in place of your doorbell. And every time somebody punches it, that you're going to make money. So every time some stupid son of a bitch comes up to your house trying to sell you aluminum siding, and they ring your doorbell, they don't know it, but they just paid you money through that purple shop pay button at shopify.com.
That's not in any way how any of this works. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, Shopify is there to help you in your online business. And you can go on. I can't. You got to take
Well, I'm telling you. And boy, and some of these office buildings in these bigger cities, if they put that purple shop pay button in place of an elevator button.
Yeah, again.
In these big high rises, these people trying to punch that button all day long, it's wired up to your account. That's another way they make people rich.
That's not how it works.
Every time they punch that elevator button, you get paid $4.17, and nobody can figure out what's going on.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to be very serious, this is a serious company. Shopify is there to help you and your serious business. Everyone wants to make money with their products online. Everyone wants to do well, and Shopify is there. Yes. Shopify is there with no help of you. Shopify is there to make sure that your experience is right for you and the consumer that can handle your e-commerce and so much more. Let's wrap this up before we do more damage, Jim.
And if you've been losing money lately, just look at your credit card bill. It'll say doorbell rang, and you'll be debited $16.
It won't have anything to do with Shopify, but you can have something to do with Shopify. And how can they do that, Jim?
They can turn their dreams into cha-ching and reality and give yourself the best shot at success you possibly can with Shopify. Your $1 a month trial period can start right now at shopify.com/JCE. That's shopify.com/JCE. And the next time that you go to get in an elevator, before you press the button, just ask yourself, can I afford this? Shopify. Are you still there with me, Brian? You all right?
I'm over here now.
Yeah, right. Let's get, speaking of people to laugh at, oh boy, the cake in the face bit has never been done like this. I am a veteran of cakes in the face, or cakes in the faces. Well, I've only got the one face. People often said I was two-faced, but that's not true, because if I had been, I wouldn't have been wearing the one I had on. But Renee Moxley Good was in the ring and listed all of Mercedes Moon's accomplishments. She won this belt and that belt and the other belt. And when you say it out loud, it gets even more ridiculous. And then here she comes. And there's the balloons and the big cake in the ring. And here come the outlaw guys dressed as the male strippers wearing her belts.
Did you see the thing at the start of the show where they showed her arriving at the building and she's sitting like on a convertible and there are just all these, men with their, I guess, jackets, but no shirts, walking out, holding her belts next to the car?
Yes. It's like the female version of Flair coming out at the WCW pay-per-view with like 18 models or whatever, which again was, you could tell These guys are outlaw indie guys, so at least they're happy to be on television. But when they used to hire models, and Vince did this too, you could tell the models didn't give two shits to be there and weren't going to be fucking the guy in question. Whereas if they'd have left it to the boys' own devices, they could have got 12 better looking women that were fucking them. That it could have come, but nevertheless, that's another story. But here as they're coming out, a goddamn puppet comes out from under the cake table. It's Harley Cameron with the Mercedes puppet. And of course, she's mic'd under the table that nobody knew she was there. So you can hear, I swear to God. You know, they're sitting there, they're doing a variety show, a sketch comedy, and they sit there and come up with these ideas, but it's preposterous for a program where it's something supposed to really be happening. But she's mic'd even though she's under the table, but the puppet is talking and she makes fun of Mercedes and gets Renee to do the little stripper dance that Mercedes does. And then
she's having too much fun. I'm sorry.
Well,
Mean Gene wasn't out there just acting like a complete fucking toady all the time. Just, it's too much. She's like,
well, that's the thing is they all have to show that they're in on it and they're cool and they're you know. Anyway, Mercedes, when she came out, she was pissed and she kicked all the male strippers out and then told Renee to get out of the ring and then started cutting a promo talking to Harley Cameron verbally, but visually talking to the fucking puppet. And she'll turn and she'll talk to the fans too, but she is standing there reacting like the puppet is the person in the promo with her. Instead of bending over and saying, hey, you fucking bitch, get out from under that table, I got something to say to you, she's interacting with the puppet. Am I exaggerating this?
I think Mercedes Moné got to live out one of her dreams. This is as close as she'll ever get to being on the Muppet Show right here and fighting with Miss Piggy or something. She is so... See, that's the thing. You admire how committed she is to her act, but she also sucks at it. She's unbelievable in everything she says on the mic. It's not good. But yet she's so committed to what inherently is not good. I'm fascinated.
Do you think she's bucking to replace Miss Piggy? And here comes the Josephine Camel Muppet. They haven't had a camel, have they?
Don't put that in the art, George.
George,
do not. No.
You want a free book, George?
No.
You want a free book?
No.
Come here, George. Good, George. All righty. Anyway, I heard that. So Mercedes cut the entire promo with the puppet next to her and then grabbed the puppet and smashed the puppet's face in the cake. And then started laughing. But then Harley looks out from under the table and like her friend has been run over by a car when she's looking at the puppet with cake on it. And Mercedes is laughing at her, but then suddenly Mercedes starts going up in the air. And she's not levitating herself because she's Linda Blair in The fucking Exorcist. Chris Statlander has been under the table too and stood up between Mercedes's legs and picked her up in an electric chair type of shoulder ride chicken fight thing and gave Mercedes a face buster into the cake on the table. The table didn't break. So then she grabbed her and turned her around the other way and choke slammed her onto the table where it then broke. Brian, do you think that this is going to have the same impact as it did in Mid-South Wrestling when the Rock and Roll Express shoved my face in the cake and then we came back and took a blackjack to Cowboy Bill Watts and set records all over the territory?
Oh, I can't imagine that this will do anywhere near the business that it did in 1988. when it happened to you on TBS with the Fantastics, let alone...
I don't think this is going to do the business it did in 1983 when it happened to me in Chattanooga.
Well, I don't know. That was
at Fifi the dog's birthday party.
A big day for Fifi. That's right.
34 people in the Channel 3 studio audience.
The fact that... Here's what I'd like to know. In kayfabe, did she think I'm going to ruin this puppet by sticking it into the cake? Or did she think I'm going to hurt this puppet by sticking it in the cake? And then Harley comes out to sell the puppet being hurt.
Couldn't she have...
How did they get under the table? How did that happen?
Well, that was during the break. They were hustled out under the cover of darkness, I guess. But couldn't she have been over and said, Harley, because she's saying Harley Cameron's name, Harley? She couldn't bend over and say, get your ass out from under that table and let me talk to you. She talked to the puppet for 3 minutes.
What did you think about before she cake planted here? Earlier in the promo, a couple times, she referred to the fans as marks. Whether wrestlers think that or not, you rarely hear that used in actual promos. What do you think of that?
Well, she wants to talk to all the smart fans and tell them that she knows that they're smart, but they're not as smart as they think they are because she's really smart. She's a mark too, because she's a mark for herself. If you're a mark for yourself, you're worse than if you're a mark for somebody else. They have to, that's the problem with all the indie wrestlers and everybody that facilitates them. They have to let everybody know it's all a work. They can't not have their tongue in cheek. They can't not wink, wink, and nod, nod. And then some of them would think, like this was started by our legendary patient zero himself, Shitstain, that if you say you're not working or acknowledge some element of the fact that everything's a work, then it becomes real all of a sudden. Because you said now the other shit's fake, but this is real, or the use of the terminology or what, it's just stupid.
That started in ECW too, like the whole, this is a shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, what's everything else?
The shit.
This was perversely entertaining to me. Because again, it's like an SCTV character. She's so committed to being Mercedes Moné, yet she can't say a single thing believably. It all comes across like she's been rehearsing this in her mirror. Maybe with someone using a sock as a puppet. I really don't know.
You know why? Because she's been rehearsing it in the mirror. And I don't know who in the equation is using a sock.
Who do you think is going to win the
Mercedes?
match? Who do you think is going to win the match? Her and Statlander. The belt collector versus the AEW Women's Champion.
That's another thing is Statlander has, and we've said this for a long time, she has size, she has potential, she has athletic ability. Nobody apparently has worked with her promos, or maybe they have, and this is what we got. The pushes have been start and stop, even more so. She's had a couple of injuries, yes, but there's never a consistent push in this company anyway. She needed to be produced 3 and 4 and 5 years ago, Statlander. And then she'd be not only more accomplished than she is today, but a more valuable commodity. But at the same time, they just put this thing on her. If she loses it to Mercedes, then again, at some point, Mercedes is going to have to do more jobs than goddamn George South, or just retire undefeated as the women's champion of everything. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing here.
And I will say, Statlander did a promo in the show, and it was a light years better than the rehearsed speech she gave in that segment with Tony Storm the week before. So there still is something there.
There's something there. It just needs to be brought out and accentuated and capitalized on instead of forgotten about, lost in the shuffle, like everybody in this fucking company.
And another thing to be on the lookout for, apparently Red Velvet's on the way to return from injury. And she's been in Ring of Honor. We haven't seen her.
Was she run over by a trolley car? How long has she been out? I haven't seen her in 3 years.
Like I said, she apparently has been on the Ring of Honor roster for a while, but the point is, she is the Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion. So you have to think there's going to be something coming up there because Mercedes Moné is now the Ring of Honor Interim Women's Television Champion.
I can't wait.
There's so many belts. There's so many championships.
And speaking of people that you get sick of and you wish they would disappear from television, Dick the Boozer versus Kyle O'Reilly was next. And again, big fan of Kyle O'Reilly since he was just a teenage young fellow. Different style, works hard, genuine kind of guy. Has been made meaningless here. This match was going to be as good as Dick the Boozer can be because Kyle is talented, but I can't really stomach watching any more of Moxley than I have to because of the fakery and the same old shit. So they did about 10 minutes and they went back and forth, and O'Reilly got an ankle lock. And Moxley, trying to get away from it, struggling to get away from it, reached up and knocked out the referee. As the announcer said, so he doesn't have to tap out again. What the fuck? This is again. He didn't sell any major superstar in this company for fucking 2 years. And now when Kyle O'Reilly gets an ankle lock, his only alternative is to knock the referee out and get disqualified. But here's another problem. Tony has no consistency in the logic that doesn't exist in his universe he's created. And we've talked about this before, but there has to be a somewhat standard level of response to shit from show to show, or elsewise it glaringly makes things look goofy. In this case, Moxley punches the referee 8 seconds, I counted. After the referee hit the mat, all 4 of the other referees in the company were in the ring and waving their arms and fucking yelling.
Yeah, how about that?
Like they were standing there waiting to get their cue, which they were. And then they run in. We've had people attempt to murder other people. We've had flamethrowers and bleach pouring and fucking lighter fluid and Molotov cocktails. But one referee gets punched and the entire staff is in the ring within seconds. And then the faces and heel partners all hit the ring and they have a brief skirmish and they went to the break. But it's just because Tony thought of this spot, this thing to do, or somebody else thought of it. And let's do it just this way. And nobody is either there to say or will be listened to. This doesn't make any sense compared to the way we do it every other time and every other show. Why can't we get consistency? But it's just a break spot to them. And then when we come back from the break, hey, I'll let you in a second, but it was another 6-man tag with the heel partners against the babyface partners that had just done the run-in. And
that's happened a few times recently where everyone who ran in just happened to be in the next match.
So whatever you were going to say, but tell me why they can't just have some consistency in. It's the same thing with this certain type of title match means nobody can be at ringside and nobody can interfere. So they don't. Well, in that case, dumb fucks, you've just shown the fans that if you say nobody can interfere, then they can't. So the next time that the heels interfere and fuck up the main event of your pay-per-view, the fans are mad at you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, do you think this does anything to help Kyle O'Reilly? Because he didn't beat Jon Moxley, but Jon Moxley appeared to think that he was about to be beat or have to tap out. So he did something he's never done before, just hit the referee, knowing it's a disqualification.
It doesn't help Kyle because nobody's going to remember it next week or the week after. on a program without constant interference and constant running in and constant chaos of all kinds, if you take a guy and give him a concerted, consistent push, he might win this week on TV. Next week, you might show brief footage of the victory and he might speak. The next week, he might speak again or he might wrestle again, but it might be talking about the upcoming pay-per-view, which is the first time he's on pay-per-view, where he's going to win in a middle card match. And over a period of time, you've exposed him speaking and working and being talked about and being involved in a bigger match. That's the way you get somebody over. You don't just do one finish in one fucking match and nobody remembers it 3 days later. Speaking of not remembering this 3 days later, so they got a 6-man tag. Briscoe and Roderick Strong and Pockets against Claudio and Danny Garcia and Wheeler Useless. And this went almost 15 minutes. And I could tell by fast forward that the mascot still sticks his hands in his pockets and his opponents still look like complete idiots trying to stooge for him and make it palatable. But finally, after about, like I said, 15 minutes, Mark Briscoe beats Wheeler Useless with the J Driller, which looks great. What a finish, right? Boom, 1, 2, 3. But then Pac comes in and starts kicking his shit out of Mark. But then Ishii comes in. And Ishii hit Pac with 13 forearms. And Pac went to one knee. How excited. God damn. When the babyface comes in and make a save, the heels are supposed to fly. They're supposed to bump. They're supposed to get the people up. Then Schaefer nut-shotted Ishii, but Kyle O'Reilly came back in, but they stopped him. And Claudio was going to pick Pockets up and throw him on the announce desk the way that he did to Darby, but Darby hit the ring and hit Claudio a couple times with a baseball bat. And the heels finally ran off. So, Brian, now do you...
That's Sting's bat.
Well, of course it is. Darby's homeless. He can't afford a bat. He stole it from his elder.
Sting gave it to him. What stole the bat? Sting gave it to him.
But the point being, do you remember what the finish was of Moxley and O'Reilly after you've just seen all this shit over the last 15 minutes?
I do, but I remember more that Moxley hit the referee than I do who he was trying to get away from or who was in the match with. It's more about the Moxley doing it to the referee than Kyle O'Reilly almost beat Moxley.
Well, yeah, because Kyle just came back in and they just beat the shit out of him now. So, Brian, see, that's the thing. You can pretty well predict when you're watching AEW that every match will end with a run-in, that every match, regardless whether the heel wins or loses or what happens, they're going to start kicking the shit out of them afterwards. Another 6 or 8 people, they're going to run in. You can pick it before you even see the show. As a matter of fact, I wonder if our friends at PrizePicks have started offering options on AEW. Will the particular wrestler you pick go through 3 tables more or 3 tables or less in a given match? That might be something where they could pick up a lot more of the wrestling fans. What do you think?
I think that's a very interesting observation you have there. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but I do know that a lot of the audience are getting ready for the big game coming up, and they want to see how they can pick them.
Pick them?
Whether you want to pick them or whether you're Wilson Pickett, whatever it may be, Jim, PrizePicks is there for you.
Well, you can pick them or you can stack them. Because Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. You can get in on the action on football and basketball in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And now, Prize Picks offers stacks. You can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Now, I've said before, that sounds shady. That sounds like you're kind of loading the deck there. But if you want to pick more on Steph Curry's points, 3-pointers, and assists, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. And you can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it be a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone that you'd like to plagiarize. You can hit the follow button and check out every lineup that they create and then jump in and steal their money from them.
Again, not the terminology we would use and not exactly how that works, but...
Well, it says right here on Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want to cheat...
No.
Seems like you ought to be able to.
Oh, Antonio Inoki's yelling something, and he doesn't want to stop.
Well, if you want flexibility, choose Flex Play. Flex Play.
Flex Play.
Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. That sounds like you're working for Tony Khan. Because even if you fail at your task, you'll still get paid. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. They even offer injury reboots. So apparently, if you can, I don't know, go to one of the games and throw a banana peel on the court in front of the guy where he slips and falls down, or maybe pick him off with a slingshot, well, then he gets rebooted if he's injured, and it doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that's how it works, but let's say that's not how it works.
Well, just for the sake of saying it, let's say it's not how it works. Something like that.
Maybe.
Let's say that the old Steph Curry. He's a basketball player, right?
He is.
Well, let's say he's running down the court and he's going to make that 3-pointer that's going to sink your picks. We'll just squirt a little baby oil right in front of him. He's going to slip, bust his ass, and drop that ball. And then you win. Prize Picks.
I don't think that's how it works. Again, legitimate ways to show what you know. Make your picks, make your Prize Picks, make your picks give you prizes, as only delivered by Prize Picks, Jim.
Well, it's not who you know, but who you blow. So right now, download the Prize Picks app and use the code JCE because you're blowing me. And that way you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So right there, $50 for a Hummer, that's not a bad fucking proposition.
Again, a metaphorical one. We're talking about a great deal with Prize Picks.
Well, pick more or less on the Hummers as far as how long it's going to take. That's code JCE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And it's even better to get a gum job. They take the whole dentures out.
Oh, no, you heard what that means. That means let's get to the important stuff.
That sounds like somebody fell down. Prize Picks. Pick how many times they're going to fall down. Well, we're back to the show, Brian. The AEW program, and next was Don Fallis and his prize pupil, the proto-star Kyle Felcher. A lot of people now are complaining because I said Kyle needs hair. Doesn't he need hair? He needs to lose the glasses and get some hair because he looks like a dweeb during study hall over at the library trying to cram for his latest test. He doesn't look from the neck down, he looks like an intimidating athlete. From the neck up, he looks and sounds like Roddy McFucking-Dowell. Can you tell me I'm lying there?
That he sounds like Roddy McDowell? I don't know.
He sounds like Roddy McDowell. A bit of the in and out. He's very proper, but also he just looks so nerdy and dweeby. He's too young. Young looking. We want young people. Terry Gordy looked 25 when he was 16. It's just something. The look, he's got all the tools, but God, he just comes out and again, he looks like, with the accent and the foppishness. We need to do something with that. He cut the promo on Mark Briscoe, said it's done, it's over with, I'm done with you. So, of course, Mark Briscoe's music played, and he came out. He's good on the microphone. He sounds like he looks. He is a gimmick. He doesn't have a gimmick. But he wants one more shot, sort of like we were talking earlier in the show, Tommy Rich and Abdullah the Butcher. I think I can beat you again. Except Kyle ain't Abdullah the Butcher. But Don tells Briscoe basically, you're great, etc., but you sound desperate because you got 10 hungry kids to feed at home. That's a financial burden. You need a family like ours, and kind of hints that maybe he was trying to ask him to join it. And he called his children blood-sucking leeches and then said, no, you can't have another match. And then Mark and Kyle stared at each other. I mean, Kyle's going to have better matches with Briscoe than he does with most people because Briscoe's better than most people here. But
we've seen it.
As we saw, we've seen it, and I don't know what there is left for them to do, because that was part of the problem with they did every goddamn thing. And then finally, Kyle didn't. He kicked him in the balls and hit him with a finish and got a 2 count. Then, as I recall, he hit him with 3 or 4 more finishers and beat him. So he didn't even fuck Briscoe. He just beat him flat because he wasn't smart enough to kick him in the balls, hit him with his finish, and beat him there. Briscoe would have had an out. Kyle would have got some heat. You might have necessitated a rematch. None of those things happened. So I guess they're going to do it again. Did you have any comments to make on this?
The other problem is, and again, I don't want to see this again. I have no problem with Mark Briscoe. It's just I just saw this match and it went like 30 minutes. But who else is there for Kyle to work with? The guy's a belt holder there. He towers over everyone. There aren't too many people for him to work with, are there? And I mean, the worst thing is he's part of the Callis family, which is a giant, endless group feuding with like other giant groups of random people, like the conglomeration.
Well, some of the Callis people are feuding with their own selves. But again, also I go back to this, but it remains a problem. They could have got Briscoe over to where he would be at a main event level now instead of having come out of the joke level middle card. And this would mean more. It would mean more if other people had been elevated when they had the chance, but they didn't. And now, because they've run out of other people, they're trying to do it, and it's too late. Speaking of too late, for the unified title, Brian, Bandito and Oblada. And since this is the unified title, there's no interference allowed. So again, as I referenced earlier, that means the promotion can then dictate whether there's interference or not. So anytime there's interference, the promotion gets the heat instead of the fucking heels. And this is a title match, but Bandito came in carrying 2 belts. Now that they're the World Tag Team Champions, and he's also some kind of champion in Ring of Honor still, right?
Oh, is he the Ring of Honor World Champion?
Well, no, he's the champion.
The tag team champion with Brody King, but I think, is he the Ring of Honor World Champion too?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know.
Didn't he beat Jericho?
Well, I applaud him for that. And Okada has his belt. They gave the statistic Okada is 14-0 in AEW in 2025. The most overpushed guy since Bulldog Bob Brown. What the fuck? So they rang the bell with 6 minutes on the air. And I know they were going to overrun, but I watched the first 3 minutes of it. Sloppy, lazy shit. Bandito tries. Oblada never tries. And they went to break after 3 minutes with 3 minutes left on the air, and I didn't come back. But my question is, after Okada won again, who came out and beat Bandito up? Do you even remember?
I don't.
And there's another part of the problem. I guarantee it was somebody. As a matter of fact, hold on here. Can we look this up? Let me look up, see if I can find the summation of this, the transcript of this important television program to see who beat up Bandito. Bandito. Hold on. 14 minutes and 22 seconds it took for Oblada to beat Bandito. And Dr. Tope, Frog Splash, boy, they did a lot of stuff.
That's a great review.
Yeah. Finish saw Bandito hit the 21 plex, but Okada backed up so he couldn't spring off the ropes and landed short, and Okada hit the Rainmaker. After the match, the entire Callis family came out except Take a Shit. But then Take a Shit came out with the IWGP title belt and scared at Okada. So Bandito didn't even get beat up. He just got beat. And now they're staring at each other over their belts. And there you have it. We have no ratings because they don't give those type of things anymore. Except they just send a note to the promotions office each week saying it was bad again. The new system is not doing wrestling any favors, and we ain't getting quarter hours, and it takes days and days before you get any ratings for any of the shows, and they're disheartening when they come out. Is that pretty much summarize the situation right now?
Well, part of the issue, too, is with all the changes happening, also it brought some attention, I guess. WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston put up something that, like, he wasn't directly threatened, but I guess he felt threatened enough that he's not reprinting any quarter-hour numbers he gets anymore.
Oh, yeah, they said, you don't be releasing that type of information around here, boy.
Which is interesting, because how could that be proprietary information? It's something you're reporting, right? But, who knows?
Well, yeah, but they have to tell the advertisers because that's how that the advertisers determine what they're paying and et cetera, but then that creates where do you draw the line? Where is the cutoff point of who gets this deep, dark, secret information? But it sure does cut down on some of our fun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Fuck you, Nielsen.
Yeah. I never liked him. I don't care if people let me tell you about my best friend. Sure, it was a nice song. But that's the last thing he ever did good for anybody. Fuck Nielsen.
Not the same guy in any way.
What? He didn't start that company?
That wasn't him.
What did he do?
He drank.
To death? Or just to excess?
To excess, and then he cleaned up, and then he died.
How old was Nielsen when he died?
I don't know, but the famous myth, and it is only a myth, but for years people thought it could be real, that when he died, it was like the mid-90s, his funeral was like during one of the earthquakes in Southern California, and the rumor was like the ground opened up and swallowed the coffin in the funeral home, which is amazing. And of course, it wasn't true at all.
Well, I want to go that way. Just have the earth open up and swallow me right up.
Do you want people there? Like, do you want it to be like something where some people
I want a few to fall in on top of me. Just I'll take some bitches with me. If I could figure out a way to make that happen, I would leave a lineup for my service with all the people I wanted in the front row closest to the edge of the hole.